We've just had an NFL Sunday packed with drama for game week 1, with Buffalo pulling it off late with a comeback against the Ravens, and Rodgers delivering an epic revenge game against the Jets, and plenty more storylines right across the league, from shock wins to statement performances. So let's dive into the big takeaways from Sunday night's games. First up, we've got to talk about the Steelers versus the Jets, because that game just felt bigger than football. There was a storyline brewing, and Aaron Rodgers walking back into MetLife, the same place where his Jets dream died just 4 snaps into 2023. He absolutely torched the New York Jets defense, throwing for over 240 yards and 4 touchdowns on the day. And it wasn't just a box score, it was an absolute statement. Why did you let me go? Think about what this man has been through. The torn Achilles on opening night, the lonely, brutal rehab grind when everyone said he's finished, and then the humiliation of coming back and whimpering with a losing season with the Jets, and just being flat out disregarded, discarded, and told face to face by the new head coach Aaron Glenn that his services were no longer wanted. After he'd flown out in good faith to meet him, super disrespectful considering he's a 4-time MVP and a future Hall of Famer, an absolute legend of the league. But you know what? Rodgers could have left the game kicking and screaming, but he doesn't want to go quietly, and who could blame him? He can still sling it, right? And last night proved that. He's got fight, determination, and obviously he believes his opinions matter in a league that loves to control the narrative. In truth, I think the NFL want him gone. Yes, he's a legend, future Hall of Famer, but right now I think they just want him forgotten, erased. They don't like him talking, especially on Pat McAfee. But you know what? At 41 years of age, in front of the very fans who once thought he'd deliver them glory, Rodgers lit up that defence, that Jets defence, and reminded the world exactly who he is. I'm a big, big fan of Aaron Rodgers, and you know what? The crowd couldn't boo either, because whether you love or hate him, you've got to respect greatness when it's right in front of your eyes. And now? Well, you just know he's going to unload tomorrow on Pat McAfee. Shots have already been fired in that post-match press conference, and I just can't wait to hear it. Nights like that prove that he still has heart, defiance, brilliance, and the NFL can try and write this guy off, but greatness writes its own story. So in the end, it's a big F you to the Jets, and Rodgers forever! Next, we've got to talk about the Colts thrashing the Miami Dolphins at home, 33-8. As soon as Daniel Jones signed for the Colts, I just had a feeling he was going to get the gig over Anthony Richardson. Sure, we can rip his final days with the Giants, but you can't deny what he brings on the ground. 2 rushing touchdowns here in this game, and boy can he still sling it, nearly hitting 300 yards of passing on the day. A big contrast to Richardson's accuracy issues. On this performance, you could argue the Colts could just be a legit threat in the AFC South, with the Texans, or maybe even sneak into a late wildcard push. If Daniel Jones can stay healthy and upright, they've got a chance. Miami though, what a mess. They couldn't protect Tua early on, coughing up 3 sacks, and their dynamic duo of Waddle and Hill were shut down. Just 70 combined yards through the air for those guys. That ain't winning you any games fast. Now granted, Indy isn't an easy place to play, but this was an off day across the board for the Dolphins, and the pressure is now firmly piling on for Mike McDaniel. Could he be the first NFL coach to be sacked this year? I think so. Another game we've got to talk about is the Bengals beating the Browns, and this is the first time that the Bengals have won in week 1 in over 6 or 7 attempts now. Shocking really when you consider the talent they've got on offense with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase and obviously Higgins. But this game, again, was not plain sailing. Burrow and the offense struggled for large parts against a solid Browns defense. Myles Garrett with 2 sacks on the day, could have been more, against his favourite quarterback to hunt in the division. And Burrow only threw for over 100 yards. Chase and Higgins caught for 50, 60 yards combined, which is just not like them. But I suppose in the end, a win is a win. The Bengals defense just about held up as well. I'm not going to read too much into this game for the Bengals, because at the end of the day, the Browns are not going to be making any noise in the postseason this year. Still, their defense isn't going to let opposing teams run all over them anytime soon. So, well done for the Bengals for scraping through what is usually a tough divisional game for them. Another surprise result of the weekend was the Las Vegas Raiders heading to Gillette Stadium and beating the New England Patriots. Firstly, it was great to see rookie running back Ashton Jeanty open his NFL account with a rushing touchdown for the Raiders, but outside of that, there wasn't much happening for him, with just 2 yards per carry on the day. Credit to the Pats' run defense there for shutting him down, but I expect big things for this guy throughout the NFL season. However, on the flip side, another new boy to the Raiders was Geno Smith, and boy oh boy did that QB come out firing. He racked up over 360 yards on the day, spreading it around with ease, with tight end Brock Bowers looking every bit the star that he is, and even Jacoby Myers tormented his old team all game. The truth is the Raiders might be better than expected, but with a new head coach, a new GM and a new quarterback, it's shaping up to be a rollercoaster season in Vegas, so buckle up. As for the Pats, the O-line gave up 4 sacks on second-year quarterback Drake May, but he still flashed chemistry with Kayshon Boutte, Stephon Diggs and trusty tight end Hunter Henry. If the defense can sort itself out in the passing game and the offense starts to click, New England could push for a playoff spot this year. But still, I'm not going to sleep on this unpredictable Raiders roster. There was another entertaining game in the early kickoffs where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just about got it done against the Atlanta Falcons, but it was way closer than they would have liked. Baker Mayfield tossed for 3 touchdowns on the day, and how about rookie wideout Emeka Egbuka? I hope I got his name right. 2 touchdowns in his NFL debut. What a way to introduce yourself to the league. On the Falcons side, Bijan Robinson was electric. Over 100 yards from scrimmage, showing once again why he's one of the most exciting young talents in NFL football. And then there's Michael Penix Jr. Last year's rookie quarterback looked the part, nearly throwing for 300 passing yards, a touchdown through the air, and another on the ground. In truth, the Falcons moved the ball at will, but when it mattered most, they stalled in the red zone. And that was the difference in the game. So the Bucs survive, and the Falcons, well, they show plenty of promise. What did you make of this one? Was it more about Baker and the Bucs finding a way, or the Falcons just not finishing drives? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more NFL breakdowns. So those were the early kickoffs, and we had some fantastic games, didn't we? We had rookies scoring touchdowns, we had all kinds of upsets, and I just can't wait for game week 2. But saying that, there are more games to analyse, so stick around, do subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be breaking down the late kickoffs in part 2.